Hello and welcome to The Hero's Word. I'm Andre, and today I am very excited to talk about a new milestone coming in comic books.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! Superman, man of steel!
Yes, the best and the greatest superhero is reaching issue 1000 for Action Comics. So what does that mean? That means the Man of Steel has reached what no other comic book has done. And over this time period, he has had so many great stories and so much evolution that it would be hard to fit it in all one video. But I'm going to stroll down memory lane and pick out some of my favorite Superman Action Comic stories and issues of all time. So going way back into the early 90s, I discovered Superman with a storyline called Panic in the Sky. Brainiac goes after Superman, and in his defeat, he launches the Doomsday weapon onto Earth after Superman defeats his ultimate plan. So we all know what this leads to. This is the death of the Man of Steel, beat by Doomsday. But my first foray into it was Superman Action Comics number 684. What a great story. This is where Superman is tiring and fighting Doomsday, and he cannot believe the strength of this monstrosity. Doomsday only gets stronger and stronger as he blazes a path of destruction all the way to Metropolis. Another favorite of mine was Action Comics number 733, and it's brought to you by one of my favorite artists of all time, Tom Grummett, and it was written by David Michelinie. So this is a little bit controversial because nobody liked Superman Red and Superman Blue. So for those of you who don't know, this is where Superman basically turned into a being of pure energy and he had to wear a containment suit. Now, why did I like this particular issue? It showed us a vulnerable Superman. He had no idea how his powers worked, and as he's getting beaten on and devastated, he has to figure out a way to use those new powers. Superman calls on fellow Justice League member the Ray, who is also a being of pure energy, and together they talk out what Superman can do with his new powers. Why I like this is because it shows that Superman is willing to get help where he needs. He takes this new information, uses his powers in new and creative ways, and of course, ultimately helps stop Metallo. So, a great look at Superman, a little bit different than what people know. And again, I thought it was a very bold move by DC to change up the status quo and give Superman new powers. Action Comics 771 is one of my all-time favorites. It pairs Superman with Nightwing.
Who's that other one? The pretty boy in the leotard.
Yep, that's right, Nightwing. Usually you think of Superman and Batman getting together, but in this issue brought to you by Chuck Dixon with great art by Pascal Ferry, we have the former Boy Wonder dropping into Metropolis to stop intergangs as they try to take a foothold of Bloodhaven. Great conversation between the two as we see that Nightwing is nothing really like the Dark Knight, his mentor. Superman and Dick Grayson hit it off, and of course, they do end up putting the hurt on Intergang, with some great moments like Dick trying to teach Superman how to be a detective. Great art in this issue, great dialogue, and it was guest written by, as I said, Chuck Dixon, who had a stellar run on Nightwing. Joe Kelly left an impressive mark on Action Comics. He has written probably one of the seminal issues of The Man of Steel. In this issue, we see Superman go after a group of superheroes called the Elite. The Elite are basically a parody of the superhero group called the Authority.
You're really tall.
Don't mind them, Mr. Superman, sir. Big fans. Paralytic with giddiness.
So what happens in this issue that makes it so great is that Manchester Black has basically said, the world doesn't need you, Superman. The bad guy needs to get stepped on, and we're not going to do anything to inspire people. Now, if you know anything about Big Blue, he is none of those things. There's always a better way for him, and he wants to inspire us to be the absolute best.
The grace of mankind is everywhere. You just have to open your eyes.
So Superman goes up against this really strong group of individuals, and they don't pull any punches. It even gets so bad that he leaves a last note to Lois Lane just in case he doesn't come back. but Superman perseveres. And in this story, it was just so great for us to be reinforced on what makes Superman truly super. Action Comics 814 brings Ivan Rice to the Man of Steel, and he is one of my favorite artists. It was brought to you by Chuck Austin, and this was their first issue of their run. Now, it won't go down as one of the best Superman runs, but I absolutely love Ivan Rice's take on the Man of Steel. But what made this issue cool is that it had Superman stopping some street-level crime, saving some people from car accidents, and then whooping Calabac and Darkseid's butt. So this issue was wacky, crazy right from the get-go, and it really showcased Ivan Rice's art as he drew a very powerful Man of Steel and a menacing Darkseid. Chuck Austin, I'm kind of iffy on the writing, but it was a great book, the art fantastic, and it was just a fun comic book. Two of my all-time favorite writers collaborated on this issue of Superman, and that's Geoff Johns and Kurt Busiek. Kurt Busiek I love back from his Marvel days writing Iron Man and the Avengers, and him writing Superman was just a great treat. And Geoff Johns, he injects so much energy and character into his storytelling that this was just too good of a treat to pass up. Add to it art by Pete Woods and you have a really stellar run. This story was called Up, Up, and Away, and in this one we see Superman who's lost his powers. So it's really cool to see a more human Superman. In this issue, he talks to Lois Lane, and because he doesn't have his super senses anymore, he can really focus on her, and he tells her that he's noticing different things and focusing on different things that really show the human side to Superman. Another great run brought to you by two great creators, excellent art, and again, another take on the Man of Steel. But we have to remember that what makes Superman super is really his heart of gold. He is the best a human can aspire to be, even though he's an alien from another planet. And this one was truly, truly epic. I will gush over Geoff Johns over and over again, and this time he teams up with Richard Donner. Yep, Richard Donner, who directed those amazing Superman films in the 70s.
Hey, Jim! Whoa! Excuse me. That's a bad outfit!
And they are joined by Adam Kubert to bring us a really cool Superman tale. What happens when a ship crash lands in Metropolis and the stowaway, the young boy, is supposedly from Krypton? Well, this is the first time we see Superman triggered those fatherly instincts. The government takes the boy, and even though Superman was aware of it, they decide to hide him. And what does Superman do? This is the first time I think he really goes against the law. He breaks that kid out and takes him to his parents. Yep, Ma and Pa Kent show up in this, and they raised one Superboy. So maybe they can raise another one. Again, this is a story all about the heart. He has to talk to Lois. What does Lois think he'll do? But this is ultimately a decision that Superman has to make by himself. This person could be another survivor from his dead planet, and he doesn't want that person to be abused by the government. A great run. Geoff Johns did amazing things with Superman. He wrote such great stories. And in these ones, I've only pointed out the stuff in Action Comics because, as I said, Action Comics 1000 is rapidly approaching. It is going to be spectacular. DC has lined up some amazing creators. There are many covers for you to choose from. Covers spanning all the eras of Superman. So I think Superman is the greatest superhero. He is definitely the best character, the best comic book character, and I think if people gave him a chance and tried out some of his books by some of these stellar writers, they would really see it. Get over this big blue Boy Scout. It's not really about that. It's about being the best person you can be and defeating the odds even when they are against you. So, are you waiting for Action Comics 1000 like I am? I hope so. It's going to be stellar. I'm Andre, and that's the Hero's Word. Thanks for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment below, and if you continue to enjoy our content, please subscribe.